What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. You're watching Buchanan Motorsports, and today we're back on the Sierra. Our goals for today: get the battery tray in, get all that situated. We're going to try to get some fluids in the motor, and then hopefully get this thing off the jack stands. Follow along with us. I hope you're enjoying the content. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and think about doing that. Hit the bell notification so you know every time we put out a new video. Like I said, hope you're enjoying the series, and let's get into it. All right, guys. Like I said yesterday, we went ahead and wire wheeled our battery tray. You can see it had a little bit of pitting, a little bit of rust. It wasn't real bad, but it's pretty typical of battery trays. It wasn't bad enough where I felt like replacing it. Went ahead and kind of cleaned up some of our 10 millimeter bolts that are going to go in right there. Next thing we're going to do is get that battery tray back down in the hole, get those 10 millimeters buttoned up. We'll be ready to put the battery in after that. Probably won't do that till we get the front end back on, get the core support, all that stuff put back together, get the fluids in it. Last thing we'll do is hook up the battery. So let's get to putting the battery tray in. All right, so we got our battery tray. This is going to have a bunch of bolts holding this thing in. They did not want this battery tray going anywhere. I can't believe how many bolts this thing actually has. You're going to have five bolts in the bottom, and 2 right here that go into the kind of the fender. So we'll get our 10 millimeter and we'll get to securing this down. All right, hopefully you can see down in here. We got 5 in the bottom, 2 along this side, 3 along that side. Again, the 2 in the fender. So we're gonna get those tightened down, just snug, nothing crazy. All right, got that one. Got that one. Come back up here. I'm gonna have to switch to a little bit different device there to get those 2 in the back. Went ahead and used the old Milwaukee wrist saver. Again, guys, if you don't have one of these right here, this is a pretty valuable tool. You don't realize you need it until you actually have one. So now we got to get we'll get the bolt put in here, get that ready to go for the battery. Our negative cable's right here, ready to go in place. Got that. So let's move on to some of these heater hoses. So here's the problem I'm going to have right now. I went ahead and took the disconnects or the quick connects off the heater hoses back here. One of them was already missing anyway. The other was still there, but they're prone to breaking and leaking real bad. So I get rid of them when I can. What we're going to do is we're probably going to loop the heater hoses for now. Again, like I told you earlier in the series, that my heater core is leaking. It's not leaking out where I can physically see any water. I just got a little smell. So I don't feel like pulling the dash in it right this second. So what I'm probably gonna do is loop those. Okay. Like I said, I went to Lowe's and picked up a couple barb fittings that we can use to loop the system. Only reason I'm not just looping it right here, I went ahead and I bought one of these little heater loops. Actually, go like that. Only reason I'm not doing that is because if I did that, yes, it would take care of my problem with not sending coolant to my leaky heater core, but we would lose this hose right here that goes to the overflow reservoir, or the reservoir. It ain't really overflow, but it'll go to the reservoir. And you can see if I looped it like this, we would lose that functionality, and I need that. There's no radiator cap on any of these new, on this particular radiator, so you have to fill it through the reservoir here that we're going to put back in place here shortly. But so if I loop that, we would lose that. So what I'm going to do is take this loop, take these barb fittings. I'm going to come back here in the back. I'm going to put those barb fittings in the end of these heater hoses, and then I'm going to loop it back here and just kind of tuck it away for now until I get enough time where I can pull the dash and fix that heater core. And just in case you were wondering, those heater hoses are different sizes. This particular loop right here, it's maybe hard to pick up on camera, but this side is going to be a 5/8, and this actually is a 3/4. So if you notice, I got a 5/8 to 5/8 and a 3/4 to 3/4 because those hose diameters are different. So just FYI, if you go to do this, you are going to need a couple different sizes, unless you can just force the one over a 5/8 barb, and you could just, I guess, use two 5/8 to 5/8 adapters. So anyway, just a little tidbit. All right, guys, this is where we ended up with it. I need to find another factory style clamp right there, but for now I got that regular heater or that hose clamp on it. I really don't like those things. This is kind of what we came up with for the short term. Got that loop portion of hose back there in the back, just those barb fittings back there, a couple hose clamps. And that'll at least give us the ability to put our reservoir in, make it work properly, which is what we're fixing to do. We're fixing to get that put in. Still got our lower radiator hose right there. This is coming from our steam port that we got to tie in. The V6 radiator does not have the port for it, so we're probably going to have to splice that in somewhere. I think I need I believe it's a 5/8 to 5/8 or 5/8 by 5/8 by quarter T that I can cut in, and we'll get that steam port taken care of. And other than the upper, like I say, upper and lower radiator hoses, that'll be all the coolant stuff we need to deal with. So let's get that reservoir put in, and that'll be one thing off the list. All right, we got our reservoir over here. And this thing is only a couple years old. Well, actually, not even a couple years old. It's probably a year and a half old. It's kind of stained up. Not really pumped about reusing that, but it looking like that. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, other than it's slightly discolored. But you're just gonna have two mounting points. Well, I guess three if you use a little tab. You got a little tab back here that'll slip into the fender. Make sure that's in there properly. You'll have a stud back here on the back side. Get all of our hoses out of the way. If I can get the stud, if I can locate it. There we go. All right, got it down on our stud. And then you got one that comes with the fender, or a brace right here that comes on the fender. I did have to stack some washers on this particular one. This isn't the factory. This is a replacement. For some reason, it sits a little weird, so I wanted it to sit more level. So what I did was just stack some washers underneath this thing. Again, it's not really necessary. But when you look at it, look under the hood, you can see it sitting all weird. And then you start asking questions, what's going on here? So I just stacked the washers on the bottom side of it, right there. 10 millimeter nut on the back side. Knocking that out real quick. Again, this stuff is just plastic, so we don't have to get crazy with it. Just snug. Again, just verify that that's snug. It's in there good and tight. I'll get our cap. We'll put our cap on. Let's see, it's got it right here. That cap is on there. And we'll make our connection right here. I'll go get the hose clamp I have for that. Make our connection there. Again, this is why we had to loop those hoses and not just loop it back there and not just down here, because it would have taken our hose out right here. So let me get that hose clamp. This particular portion will go into the radiator. This is where I'm probably gonna have to tap that steam port into. So I'll figure that out. Let me see what size I'm gonna need. I'll take a little measurement on that. And we'll get proper T. That's probably gonna be something I have to order, but hopefully I can get that in a short period of time. So let me get that hose clamp. Kind of wet on there. We'll get that pushed up on there nice and tight. All right, so now we'll get our hose clamp up on there. These things are, like I said, they're wonderful. As long as you ain't got to use them too much. Okay. Hose clamp on, secure. Everything's good and tight. Again, we'll take care of this hose connection. We'll take care of this. Probably work on our, just go ahead and throw our lower radiator hose on while we're right here. Well, a little change of plans on this radiator hose. I think this is going to be the easier connection to make. So I'm probably going to go ahead and put this side on the radiator itself, because these clamps, like I said, it can be a pain. And when you start getting into all these transmission cooler lines and all that kind of stuff, I think it's going to be a little bit easier to go ahead and put this on the bottom of the radiator and make this connection a little bit more accessible whenever we go to do that. So I'm going to hold off on that. I think what we're going to go ahead and do is switch gears here and come back here to the back. We'll pull this off. This is just kind of sitting up here. And we'll make our fuel line connection. Only one fuel line connection to be made. Again, we kind of walked through the modification we had to make in the back there to get our braided fuel line up here. So we'll get our other fittings out. We'll go ahead and connect that to the fuel rail. All right, guys, here we are. We're going to be making our fuel rail connection. We're going to be using this. Same connection we used on the hard fuel line that we modified. Coming up the back side over there, you can probably see it way back down in there. It's the 3/8 compression to 6 AN. That'll thread right in there just like that. This is going to slip on the rail just like that. I'm going to try to do it without cutting this off. I'd really like to maybe keep that on there. I don't know if I can. I'm going to have to see if that's going to seat all the way. If not, I'll take my small tubing cutter, just gently cut that right there and get this to where we can add that. But I'd like to keep as much of this as possible if I can. We'll just see how that works out. All right, guys, this is what we came up with. So we made our fuel rail connection. Again, this is a returnless style system, so I only need to have this, just a fuel supply. I don't need the return line. If you're going to do the return line, I believe that uses a 5/16 line. This is a 3/8, so you'd get the 5/16 compression to 6 AN, and get another line like this, and you do the same thing on the return line going back to the fuel tank. But we don't need that, so we're going to move on. That's the fuel system completed. One more thing off the list. All right, well, let's move on to starting to put the front end back together here. Got our core support just sitting up here, our upper core support. It's going to be a series of 10 millimeter bolts, 3 on either side. You can see where they go right there. You'll get those from underneath. So we'll get this flip back over, get these pulled out, get it set up in there and in place, and get those run down. Pretty much the majority of this stuff that goes on the front end of this thing is a lot of it's 10 millimeters, so you ain't got to have an assortment of sockets for that. But let me go ahead and get this kind of setting in place, and we'll bring you back in here in just a second. All right, guys, as you can see, I had to get a little creative on this. The holes under here, once I got this top support back in, was about a half a hole off, and I couldn't get that bolt in without possibly cross-threading it. I guess when we took that top bar off, I guess the fenders kind of just sprung out. I mean, maybe 1/8 of an inch, just enough to give us a problem. So I just took a ratchet strap and kind of put it on the inside of those supports there, and just put just a little bit of tension on it. Lined it right back up. Got our bolt started. No problem. Everything's still loose, so we still got to tighten all that up. But we're going to get those 10 millimeters buttoned up. All right, with the upper core support in, I went ahead and loosely fit the condenser. Just make sure you got these rubber isolators on the bottom, right in here. Get those lined up where they go. There's a couple little marks on the inside. You'll kind of see where the wear marks are as well. But before I get this pulled all the way into place, what I'm going to try to do is go ahead and get this front, this support right here on. It's got two 10 millimeters that come in from the back side right here. So when this thing is pulled all the way forward, about the best thing you can do is get a wrench in there, which we still might use a wrench anyway, so I don't damage this. But I want to go ahead and get that support in and then put those bolts in and get those snugged up before I go ahead and pull the rest of the condenser in and make our connections. I did go ahead and, like I was telling you earlier, go ahead and pull the old gasket off, put a new seal in, new gasket. This new line right here has already got a new one in it. We'll verify that one looks good. And then it's going to be the same 13 millimeter type of stuff. I'll get the my little paper towel stuff out of there. We'll get that taken out. And man, this front end is going to come together pretty quick. Hopefully, we'll be putting stuff in the radiator hopefully soon. All right, guys, with everything kind of loosely fit, I got the two 10 millimeters in the back side up here. Again, we put our hardware back in the hole whenever we took it out, so it's really easy to figure out where everything goes if you do that. Just a little tip. So I got two 10 millimeters over here holding the support, one 10 millimeter right there holding the headlight bracket support. Same thing on this side. Got the two 10s there and 110 here. Again, put the bolt right back in the hole where those go. So when we go to getting all these other tightened up, man, I know exactly where those bolts are and what's supposed to go there. I mean, it's pretty easy to see that. Take that out, put that in, boom, you're done. There's no, you take all the guesswork out of it. So if it's not something you're doing, it's something I do suggest as a tip, when you're working on stuff. The next thing we'll do is get all that tightened up. We'll start looking at our new Tru Cool 40K transcooler. We're going to have to add right here. But I'm going to get all this stuff tightened up, get these AC connections made, and then we'll keep moving. All right. I want to know who was yelling at the screen. Somebody had been yelling at the screen. Let me know I had the condenser in upside down. So if it was you, I guess let me know in the comments, because you can just call me Backtracking Bobby, I guess, as Puddin would like to say. Puddin's Fab Shop. Yeah, want to make the connections for the condenser, and I was scratching my head for just a second, trying to figure out what I did. Well, what I did was I had it in upside down. So, yeah, that was real smart. Anyway, pulled that support back out. Really easy. I didn't have it snugged all the way down yet. So pulled it back out real quick, flipped the condenser back around, made my connections. So I'm going to put that support back in, and then we'll go from there. Like I said, at some point here in the near future, to get this thing cranked up, I'm going to need to get the transcooler installed, which is going to go up on this bracket right here. We'll have to modify a few things, but we'll kind of show you, I guess, that process as we go. But anyway, let's do this again. Big shout out to Viper Chair. I'm not a sponsored channel. Like I said, I just started all this up, but they make a pretty cool product. So if you're needing a good chair, a shop stool, definitely recommend it. They're nice to have. Appreciate that, Michaela. She gave me that for a gift for Christmas, I believe. All right, next thing we're going to get to is the hood latch. 3 10 millimeter bolts. I want to get this in place, get it centered up, kind of go off those, kind of where those marks were, those witness marks for the where the bolts were before. The hood was closing good. I don't want to have to do a bunch of adjustments. So if I kind of put everything back where I saw it was lined up according to the old marks, so it should line back up without a problem. So 10 millimeters, 3 of them, one on one side, 2 on the other, and that'll be the final install for that. All right, guys. Again, not a sponsored product. All these were paid for by my own money. So, but through my own research and kind of listen to other testimonials and just digging through information, this is pretty much the go-to for a affordable transcooler. Again, there is a single pass in the radiator that does technically act as a trans cooler, but we're going to add the auxiliary. My truck did not come with it. It was just a V6 before. I believe some of the V8s, half tons, and then I believe all the HDs came with the auxiliary cooler out here on this outside right here. It was just a really small cooler. This one right here is going to go up in here kind of like that. I'll pull it out here in just a second, kind of give you a mock-up. But yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to add the auxiliary cooler. You can see one of the trans lines down here. This is one of the ones I bought. It's going to come up and play in right there. I got to do a little bit of modification to some of these, but the other one is going to be coming off the radiator. It's going to loop underneath, so it'll give us 2 trans lines right here. This particular one right here is the one that goes back to the transmission. So I'll walk you through those lines here in just a minute, but I may have to go ahead and put the radiator in now that I'm thinking about it, so that I can have all the trans lines exactly where they need to go. So when I go to mock this up and start modifying some of these lines, they're all in the proper spot, and we don't have an issue with fitment whenever I go to put the radiator back in if I did that at a later time. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start working on fitting that back in, getting the hoses on, all that good stuff. All right, guys, this is the stock radiator. I just wanted to go over a couple connections with you. This is the 05 and up, I guess 05 to 07 Classic, that would come with the 34-inch radiator because it has electric fans, everything. After 05, got electric fans. If it was before that, I believe you got a 28-inch radiator. So if you were going to do an E-fan swap, you would need the 34-inch radiator to make that properly work. But again, just want to go over a couple connections. So what we got here is the lower radiator hose connection. We have the connection coming from the overflow reservoir. Over here, you got the upper radiator connection. Some of the earlier radiators actually got a petcock right here, and you could drain the radiator there, but it kind of has everything, looks like it would be there, but this particular radiator does not have that. So it kind of makes it a pain to drain. You can't just pop the petcock open and let it drain. You really have to just kind of pull the lower radiator hose. But what specifically I want to go over was the trans cooler connections, the transmission lines. So what you got is actually a single pass in the radiator that does technically give everybody a trans cooler. So you have a line that comes in, goes through, comes out, and goes back to the transmission on radiators that do not have an auxiliary cooler. It's simple, in and out, right back to the transmission. For the ones that do have an auxiliary cooler, you're gonna have some different lines. The lines are not gonna be the exact same. So the line that goes from the transmission out of the transmission into the bottom here will be the same. That's the same line. There's no reason to try to change it. If you have the auxiliary cooler, you will need to get this line right here. So this is the line that comes out. Let's see, it comes out of the top like this and snakes it back under the core support. You can see this kind of flexible portion down there, and it's going to pop up kind of in here like this. If you can visualize that, it'll pop up like this. I only got one hand here, so, and then you have the other line that we added. So those are the 2 lines we had to change. Again, that line that you're looking at right there goes back to the transmission. That's the return line, and that's going to be the one out of the auxiliary cooler. But I did go ahead and purchase these. That way, everything would be 100% good to go on that. Again, we're going to have to do a little bit of modification, but we'll get into that when we get the radiator in and get all these lines in. But I just kind of want to go over that real quick, so give you a little quick rundown of what you're looking at. Yours may vary a little, again, based on the size of the radiator you have, whether you have auxiliary cooler, all that kind of good stuff. But and if you have that petcock. So anyway, just a quick rundown on the radiator. We're going to get it installed so we can keep wrapping this front end up. All right, guys, we got the radiator loosely fit in here. I don't have the bolts or anything in it. The bolt you're going to be using is the one that goes for the E-fans. The E-fans are going to lay over this, and then you'll just run a single bolt in either side, and that'll be it. Again, went ahead and put that lower radiator hose on because these can be kind of a pain. So all I got to do is open this clamp up, make our connection there. This is the supply transmission line coming from the transmission that I wanted to go over real quick. Again, those little white things are just plugs, but that's just gonna simply go right back in that hole. Make sure your clip is in there. And then you'll secure it down with this little black piece right there. It'll just clip in, and that'll be it as far as that goes for prepping that. The other line we're going to bring off, that new line I just showed you, is going to come off here. It's going to go down underneath the core support and then pop up on the front side. So let's go ahead and make the lower radiator connection. That'll be wrapped up. We'll get this transmission line put in place and get our new line in over here and start making those connections to work our way towards the trans cooler. All right, I'm gonna take the plug out of this lower transmission line. I put a little rag underneath it so we catch some of the transmission fluid. Then we're literally gonna go straight into it with this until we get that clipped in gauge, and then we'll put the little black piece over it. So, all right, got our plug out. A little bit of fluid came out. Let's see. There we go. Put it in. I saw the clip kind of engage. I'm trying to pull it out, and it ain't coming out. So what we're gonna do, simply just push this black piece over it. You heard it kind of clip in right there. Give it a little tug. Everything's in. That's as simple as putting those transmission lines are. Hopefully you can see that. Like I said, I'm trying to do this one-handed up, so kind of halfway upside down. So anyway, we'll do the same thing for the top. Of course, this will be that new line going down, and get it to the front side. Okay, guys, I got the new line in. You're gonna make sure they come between the bottom core support and this frame bracket or frame support. So this is basically if you were gonna add just the standard GM trans cooler, the auxiliary heavy duty style, this is basically the lines you're gonna need to make sure that works and just plug and play. Like I said, probably a million times, we're going to be changing that up just a little bit, added a bigger cooler. But again, just same simple thing here. These just literally just go in here, secure right there. So I think the next thing we're going to do is get the E-fans in here, make our two electrical connections for it, our two bolts, one here and one there. And man, that'll be looking good. We're looking real good. Then we'll get that upper radiator hose on. Man, that should be the cooling system right there. I mean, that'll be done. Well, then we can focus on this trans cooler. All right, guys, these are our electric fans, stock GM unit. A lot of people do this as a simple upgrade to get rid of the mechanical fan on the front of the water pump. Frees up a little bit of horsepower, a little bit of rotating mass and drag on the motor. Again, this will be paired with a 34-inch radiator. They don't bolt right up to the smaller radiator. So if you're doing this, you're gonna have all this apart already. It ain't gonna hurt, man. Just go get one of the 34-inch style, get a set of the fans, the relays, and just do it all at one time. You'll be happy you did. All right, so we got the fans loosely sit in here. Again, just two 13 millimeters. I don't know if you can see way down in there, but that little bitty tab right there at the end of my finger, actually, if you can see the radiator and it kind of moving independently there, it has a little tab there. Those radiators just slip right over. So it makes the unit kind of pair as one. We're gonna get these 13s buttoned up here real quick. All right, that's one. Come over here for number two. Number two installed. All right, we went ahead and threw on our brand new upper radiator hose. Got to get one more clamp right there. Get that clamped on, secured down. Took care of this connection. Like I said, we're gonna have to address this when I get the T in that I'm looking for. and we'll tee into probably this line so we can get the that steam port stuff taken care of. All right, guys, here's our Tru Cool. Now that we got all the radiator stuff buttoned up, we're gonna get this transmission cooler kind of mocked up. We're gonna have to fab a couple brackets. They sent some stuff in the box, some little cheesy brackets, but I've got a couple pieces of aluminum that I'm gonna, I guess, try to fab up a couple brackets. Maybe dribble a couple holes and rib nut it in here. Good opportunity to use that tool. But a lot of people, what I've seen do is take this stock bracket right here, unbolt it, flip it around, and they'll come in here and trim some of these this angle off of it right there, trim the end, and basically flip it around and be able to mount to the stock bracket there, and then they'll come up with a couple short pieces in here, just fab up a couple short pieces. And they do, like I said, send some stuff in here that you could probably make work, but I've got a couple pieces basically just like this, but they're aluminum that a buddy of mine, Rusty, thank you for doing that for me. He always takes care of me. Can't say enough about him. One of my real good buddies, so appreciate him. But he fabbed us up a couple little things real quick. We'll cut those down, modify them to what we need, and we'll have this going. Let's see if, I don't think I can do this with one hand, but you can kind of see the your ports right there. Again, this is a much larger cooler than it would have came with from the factory. So you can see where the lines are a little bit off, right? Like I said, we're gonna have to modify them. So that's gonna be pretty simple. I'm just gonna use my tubing cutter, probably cut those. I may try to flare it similar to that, so that when we put our rubber hose on there, it has something to bite onto when I clamp it down. But that's basically going to be it. The biggest part of this is going to be fabbing up the brackets. And again, I'm doing something probably that is a little bit above and beyond when I go ahead and do this. So not necessarily something you have to do. You can use their little brackets, and people do that all the time, get away with it, and nothing wrong with it. So just do whatever you feel comfortable with. All right, guys, real quick, I want to show you that modification we made to that bracket. Like I said, we just unbolted it, turned it around, and you can see the, hopefully you can see in there, cut those little corners off. And, excuse me, that'll give you the ability to at least reuse the stock bottom support for your new transcooler. Again, real quick and easy with a couple little modifications. I cut it with a cutoff wheel and then cleaned it up with a little die grinder there. Now, as you can see, we have a tab we can punch a hole in and mount our bottom portion of our new cooler. You can see where the top is going to be. We got to fab up a couple little brackets there. All right, I did find one little bitty hiccup here to my plan. If I wanted to keep the cooler centered, this bolt right here for the power steering cooler is going to rub the backside of it, and it's going to rub a hole straight in it. So this is kind of what I came up with. I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead, take my grinder, cut that ear off. I'm going to drill a new hole there. I can pull this back out of the way, and all the factory using is a riv nut. So I may do the exact same thing. Just use a riv nut right there. And that'll get the bolt around on the side. It gives me the clearance I need for the cooler, and we're home free on that. So just something to think about. I could, like I said, literally just take it from center and move it over a couple inches, and actually would line up one of the upper tabs with this, and I could literally put a riv nut right there and be done. And I just have to fab a little longer piece over here. But I kind of want it centered up. I like things kind of symmetrical. So this ain't really a whole lot more work. Take a few extra minutes. But anyway, if you don't want to do all that, then obviously you can just off-center it a couple inches, and you'll be good to go. All right, guys, I wanted to show you what we came up with on this power steering cooler bracket.
original mount location. We drilled it, rib nutted it on the side. Like I said, cut that little bracket out. We'll clean it up, a little paint on it. That way it doesn't rust. So that gives us the ability to actually, again, put that radiator, or excuse me, the auxiliary transcooler in the middle and not be off-centered. So that'll satisfy any kind of OCD that there is. But again, we're fixing to get up here. We're gonna get that cooler up here, mark our bottom hole locations. We'll get those drilled, and then we will probably rib nut those as well. And then that'll give us the ability to put that up there and fab up our bracket. This is going to be probably, this is probably going to be the beginning of our upper bracket right there. Again, our buddy took care of us on that one. So let's keep this project rolling, and hopefully we can get this thing done pretty quick. All right, so we got the bottoms drilled. I got them rib nutted. So that's kind of temporarily up there. Again, like I said, we're going to modify that. We'll cut that and put our barb fitting in here. Run a short piece of flex hose to that. The same thing will be said for over here. This one's going to have to get cut a little bit further back, and it'll be like just a small section. I'm trying to keep the rubber hose to a minimum. I understand we do need some rubber hose, just to be a little bit more flexible. So, but once we get this top mount figured out, I think we're going to do something very similar to what we did down here. We'll get this figured out how much we need here, kind of notch it out. Probably notch it out right in here, kind of a square for this. Sorry about all this camera work ain't very good. Notch it out so we can get around that right there and still give us the ability to come out here. Probably pop a couple holes in right there. We'll put some, I guess we'll probably put some nut certs in there to bolt the bracket too. I don't want to just self-tap it. Somebody pulls all this apart at some point. I want somebody that looks like they actually cared about what they were doing. So anyway, that's going to take us a little while longer to do that. A few holes, a little bit more cutting, shaping. We'll get her dialed in though. It's gonna be nice when it's done. I ain't ever gonna have to worry about it coming off or being an issue. I wouldn't think. Looks like we got proper clearance on everything back here. That turned out real nice. So I want to make sure we're spaced off of that so we don't have any kind of rubbing. All right, guys. Looks like that's all the time I'm gonna get for today because we got weather rolling in again. It is already sprinkling and looking kind of nasty. So this is the cooler pretty much mounted. We'll get back on this thing in the morning. Got trans fluid coming in the morning. Amazon's bringing it. Also bringing the T that we're going to need to take care of this steam port line. After that, we'll get the fluids completely in this thing. I didn't get around to it, man. I tried, but this rain's going to cut me short. All right, guys, we're back out here the next morning. What we're going to do is get our tubing cutter, go ahead and cut that line off right there. That'll give us a straight shot right into the bottom of that. We'll take this one over here. We're going to have to get these lines secured up too, so they're not flopping around. We're going to also cut right here, install our barb fitting, and then we'll measure for the rubber hose we need. So let me get the barb fittings installed. We'll make the cuts on the tubing, and we'll start measuring for the rubber hose. All right, guys, so here's what we came up with on our auxiliary transcooler. Still got to work on extracting that one bolt in there and that riv nut. I'm not sure exactly how that happened. I didn't think it was in there crooked. Maybe it was just a bad piece of hardware. But we went ahead and got our barb connections, our barb fittings threaded into here, got all that snug down, got our pieces of rubber hose, got our hose clamps. I do got to secure these hard lines. So this one's not bad. This one's pretty good, but this one's kind of floppy. So I got a board in there right now just supporting it. So I'll get that secured to the bottom core support. So that ain't an issue. That's pretty much going to wrap up the that auxiliary cooler install. So again, it looks pretty good. It's centered up pretty good. I like the way everything fit up. Pretty happy with it. So we're going to wrap that portion of it up.